To the 18th Annual Cherokee National Holiday Art Show. We're glad you're here with us. We're at the Chota Center at the Tahlequah Casino, the beautiful Tahlequah Casino. Going to interview some artists that have entered their pieces in the art show this year. Like I said, 18th Annual. We have 175 pieces of art with 33 of them belonging to the children. 115 artists, like I said, of which 25 are the children. And we have all sorts of categories, which is pottery, digital artwork, beadwork, a lot of things to see, and they're all for sale. Well, most of them for sale. But come on down, check it out. We're glad you're here with us for the Cherokee holiday. All right, Robert, let's throw it over to you. Who are you talking to today, bud?
My friend Harry. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your artwork here? Tell us where you're from and everything else.
Okay, I'm from Hardbarger, Oklahoma. I've been there all my life. I grew up as a first language speaker, and my Cherokee name is Alewi Donohuelani, but they call me Harry Oswi. So my piece here is called Hybrid Fish. It's made of clay and glazed, double-fired clay, and it's one of those things that when you think about art, you reach out and find something that kind of hits you to create, and this was like the world's changing, so I decided, well, maybe I should do something fish that's changing as well as the world. So, and this right here is the first piece I've done with Minnesota pipestone, and it's also pipe. And that's something that I really enjoy using this stone. And again, my inspiration from these things come from just looking at magazines, researching, whatnot. This is basically from one of the old mountains designs, so kind of got that from that area.
I see. So you're primarily a sculptor.
Well, I am in a way, but I started as a painter. I still paint. I do stone carving. I do wood carving. I do these things when, like, I do painting and I do my clay during the wintertime. And the spring and fall, I'll do these things, painting, and this work here is done during the wintertime.
Okay, I see. So we're going to go back a few years.
Okay.
How long have you been doing this?
Oh, wow. I've been participating and work with art for as long as I can remember. If I went back to the very beginning, I think I was inspired by my mother back in the day when we were, she'd tell us how she used to make her own toys with clay and so forth. But I did a lot of drawing when I was in grade school, and never had any art training at that time. It was just something I enjoyed doing. Then as I got to high school, still no art classes, and I kept drawing, and just something that I've always enjoyed doing. So when I finally got to Bacone College, that was back in '68, I came across pretty unique expression in art. Art existed at that point in time, so-called Indian art. So I took a couple classes under the famed artist Dick West, and then I got drafted to the service. So when I came back the second time around Bacone College, I worked with Chief Terror Soul, Chota. So again, they gave me some inspiration on how to, his philosophy, and maybe how to look at Indian art from our perspective. So from that point on, I started looking at different artists' work. You know, there were a lot of artists at the time that were really well expressing their art, and so I decided, well, maybe I could do something like that. So I started studying their work, and like young people, I didn't much participate as far as my art classes. I only took 2 or 3 classes during that time, but I studied the other people's work, like Jerome Tiger and Johnny Tiger, the 2 brothers, and of course Willard Stone's work. I looked at his wood carvings and different people that did different art. I studied their work, and knowing that I could probably do something like that, maybe not to that precise work that they were doing, but I knew I could do something. So that's when I decided to do, well, I'll start painting first, which I did for several years. Then I got to stone carving, then eventually to wood carving, and then to just recently started using the clay. I took some classes under Bill Glass, the renowned artist here in this part of the country. So I took a lot of lessons from him, and it started me with this clay work, and I really enjoy doing that now. It's more forgiving than wood and art than stone, but it turns out that I enjoy doing that much more.
Getting back to inspiration and creativity, where all that comes from. Yeah. A lot of people, because they do paintings and drawings, ask sometimes, where do you get your ideas? Where do they come from?
Well, you know, I think back my growing up years with all the elders that I talked to, they had a lot of history to tell, a lot of stories to tell, a lot of different short stories, their history, their culture, and plus I didn't speak English till I was 6 years old. Started learning English, so I all that stuff I got from the traditional people, and a lot of that stuff comes from there. When I do my artwork, it not only represents art, but it has history to it. It has some type of. Anytime I do a piece, I put some of my history into that. And again, I want people to understand there's a different side of this world that some people don't understand, which is a Cherokee worldview, you know. So I try to encompass our tradition culture within a piece when I do that.
Well, I like the fact that you've brought your piece here. It's extraordinary. Is there a little bit of a story behind it?
Yeah, this one, like I said earlier, the way the earth is changing nowadays, the world is changing. We got this climate changes and so forth. And again, there's hybrids everywhere. There's insects, animals, and whatnot. So this just kind of represents that type of environment where this fish will hopefully will bring that type of thinking to people. You know, a lot of times when I do art, I just want people to look at it, appreciate it, and maybe have some ideas about what they think. You know, maybe inspire them to think in a different format, different way of seeing the world, and so forth. So again, as a native person, as a cultured person, I want people to understand that Cherokees are more than just brown people. Mm-hmm. We still have a culture. We still have history. We still have a language. So that's what I try to portray in our my designs and whatnot in my work. And a lot of times, it's just not one piece. You can look all around my work, especially stone carving. There's a story around the stone itself. And I've been working on a piece last 4 years now. I may have it done during the next short Trail of Tears. Hopefully I will have. But it's a stone that came out of Black Hills State, South Dakota. And so it'll be the first stone carving I've done where I incorporated a plains person into my carving. Okay. I hardly ever do plains work, in fact, unless somebody commissions something. But this is the first time that I've actually took a plains native on this stone carving, because since it came from South Dakota, I felt like that was just something that I needed to do with that stone. So
well, that's important. Well, thank you, Harry. Appreciate it.
You bet.
I'm going to turn it back over to Greg.
Okay.
Greg's going to be turning back over to you. Tell us some more about
Thank you.
art out there.
All right, thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. It's great hearing those stories behind the pieces of art, how they're inspired, and how these guys have been making art a long time, especially Mr. Oswey. He's been doing quite a bit of incredible artwork. And speaking of art, we have quite a few different categories. In pottery, we have 8 amazing works, and then sculpture, about 19 pieces that we have on display. Here's one of them right here, Coming Home by David Pruitt. It looked very good at anybody's home. And I love the detail in it with the Yancey or buffalo. And you can see the syllabary artwork hidden within, just very delicately within the artwork itself. It almost looks like a war shield kind of sort of, something like Captain America might carry. But very beautiful. Like I said, 8 pieces of pottery. We have some sculpture too. But let's walk over here because there's so many different things to see scattered about the table. As you can see, people just kind of wandering around, enjoying it. We've got folks, and it's a great way to inspire kids to get into artwork. But this little piece right here stood out to me. It's called Red Turtle Basket, and as you see, that lid removes, so it's very functional, very pretty. Lots of hours went into this, and a lot of detail and skill in order to have this come to life. Kathy Van Buskirk, who's been making baskets for a long time, she assembled this for us, and this is very beautiful. We have a lot of teachers out there who've been doing this a long time, national treasures like that, who are willing to teach the youth, teach anybody that have that inner artist. And so, like, all these pieces are here for sale. Lots of beautiful pieces. Like, here's another basket here. Looks like we got a board game over here. Just a lot of amazing things. As you can see, and we look around in the crowd, you can see just people milling around, just having a good time, checking out pieces of artwork. As you can see, we have dresses, textile work, things like that. I think this one's kind of funny right here and kind of cool. This beaded hat. Make you look really dapper at the powwow. So if you're interested in it, come on down. I believe it's made by, let's see who's made by here. Justin Smith. And it's called CO. I mean, great way to introduce yourself to someone. $600 for the hat. But like I said, we got a lot of amazing pieces. And back to the turtle basket. I just love how it looks. And for like my wife's old sorority, she was Delta Zeta, and the turtle was their mascot. So it'd be a great gift for someone, who loves turtles or is involved in an organization that believe that a turtle is their mascot. And there's a lot of amazing Cherokee stories about the turtle, or doxie, as I was taught to say. So anyway, I'm wondering if Robert's about ready to pitch it back to him. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, anyway, just so glad you guys can join us here at the 18th Annual Cherokee Holiday Art Show. There's a lot going on. Next door, we've got a quilt show. There's Fiddler's Contest. Of course, State of the Nation after the parade. Powwow tonight. It's supposed to kick off around 7, and then another big powwow tomorrow night. So, Robert, are you about ready for me, buddy? Okay.
Okay, we have some more sculptors here. Tell us where you are and where you're from, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Lived in probably all my life. We've done a little traveling, but for most of the part, I've lived here in Tahlequah.
You're Mr. Troy Jackson.
Yes.
Yes. Would you introduce us?
This is my granddaughter, Maylee Thomas, and my protege, so to speak. She's starting to become a great artist.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
She's working on here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your art?
Well, I started doing pottery years ago, and I eventually started into sculpture. And the next thing I know, I'm mixing other materials with clay, and one of those materials has been steel, high carbon steel, and I applied that to my sculptures, but now I'm applying it to pottery. And this piece that I have here, that is a steel, it's clay base and top with a steel center.
It's a large piece we have back
Yes.
here. Wow, it's beautiful. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yours?
Well, so I made the sisters because I have a sister who means a lot to me. This is supposed to represent one piece, but it's representing two people because even though when we're apart, when we're together, we're whole. And then I made that the deer because, I don't know, every time I just always loved deers, and I always loved seeing them cross the street when we were in the car.
I love deer too. What kind of inspiration do you two get for creating your art?
I think for me, my inspiration comes from family, for the most part. I'm glad to be Cherokee, and I impress that on my family that we should be proud of our heritage. And Maylee she's really picking that up and starting to understand that how important it is to have a culture. I know when I worked on a master's program at the University of Arkansas. And I remember going to a show on Asian pottery, and I was so impressed by that show that it made me feel like, wow, I wished I had a culture as strong as that in pottery, as strong as they were in pottery. And I think that was a turning point for me because I realized that Cherokee had just as strong involvement in pottery as anybody, as in any indigenous group. So that's what really influenced me as far as my work.
Now I understand you're just getting started. So what kind of creative outlet do you find inspiration from?
Well, someone who's inspired me is my grandpa because every time I see one of his pieces, it just motivates me more, and it motivates me that I strive to be like him.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now I realize we both have taught at Northeastern State University, and when I first met you, you were doing a lot of work with paper and things. Do you still work with paper, or do you still work with any other type of medium?
I still draw, but mainly that's sculpture and pottery. And like I say, I still draw some. I started out at back in the 70s with Bacone College. And so I did a lot of painting. That's what I wanted to be, was a painter. And as soon as I finished my associate's degree at Bacone, I went to Northeastern and took a class with Jerry Chota in pottery, and that was it. I knew that's what I wanted to do, so to work in clay.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So, getting back to these pieces, we work with clay. I can tell there's a difference in the firing aspects of it. Bailey, do you know much about the firing aspects for these pieces? It kind of looks like it's a raccoon.
Well, yeah, my favorite glaze that I like adding to my pieces for firing is the white crackle. So,
And what's the title of it?
this is Sisters and Deer.
Deer. Okay, all right. I thought there would be something else when you mentioned that earlier. All
Nope.
right. And we have this one called Standing Tall back
Standing
here.
Tall.
What's the inspiration for the title? Because sometimes when people do artwork, they ask to title something, you get sometimes groans because artists are trying to figure out what to title it.
Yeah. Well, the Standing Tall is, I think, that the Cherokee people, the writing on that is Ani Yoiya, which is principal people. And I've always listened to that term, principal people, and I think that the Cherokee meet that qualification because look at the Cherokee Nation today. What it was, how much it's grown, and how much influence that it has given to generations. And I think about in the arts, how involved that we all are as Cherokees in the arts.
Wonderful. Now, I know both of you are you've been inspiring people. You've obviously inspired your granddaughter here. What would you say to somebody to keep becoming inspired, interested in starting a career in art?
I would say that if you're interested, that is the very beginning. But I would say that you need to first develop a passion for that art. I think with passion, if you have that passion, if you have that drive, you'll want to learn. You'll want to continue learning. You want to keep it, involved in new materials and different aspects of art. And so that's what I would say. If you have a passion for it, get out there and get after it. You may not want to be that as a full-time job, but my goodness, it works really well. Even as a second avenue.
Yeah. It's always ever changing.
Yeah.
That's the only way it keeps alive. Well, thank you both. Appreciate both of you coming out here. We're going to
thank you.
Back over to Greg over here for a
Thank
second.
you.
Thank you. What up?
All right, well, Dawn, Robert, thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful interview. Now, we're going to transition over from Troy to one of his students. His name's Keith Hardbarger. But I'm glad you joined us. I know you're a busy man this weekend. Got a lot going on?
Oh, yeah, we race every weekend. My youngest son races and stuff and everything, so it's a big weekend this weekend. But, I met Troy last summer. He was doing a glazing down at the Art Center downtown Tahlequah there, one of his classes last year, and I just seen parts and little pieces of it, and I really thought, wow, that is pretty cool. And I talked to the people about it, and I got in, and I've learned so much about what's going on and how to apply, and just I don't know an ounce of what anybody else knows, but it's just really, really good. I enjoyed a bunch.
So you had never done pottery or sculpture. You just on a whim decided to go.
No, I had never done it. I just tried it, and it turned out really. I enjoy it so much. It's just I do really do.
Well, that's really cool. I mean, I think everybody has an internal artist that needs to be nurtured, and that's why we have a lot of elders teaching basket weaving, painting. You learn from a national treasure, Troy, to learn to do sculpture and pottery. And so tell me about this piece right here, which sold. Were you kind of shocked that it sold?
Yes, I was. Troy had us do particular things, and we tried different types of different things, and it was just a piece that you take a slab and make I don't know how to describe it, but I had a vision that a flame type deal and everything, and I started cutting stuff out and putting it together and everything, and it finally, when we got it done and when it's coming out of the fire, it was so beautiful. And Troy and me, it was all like, wow, that thing, he said, that's a nice piece. So, and I was really surprised, and yep, it was really nice.
Well, that's two things. You know, it's great that Troy encouraged you. You both were just kind of shocked because when you do this, the coloring, you don't really know what you're going to get coloring, right?
No, well, you have a basic code or type, which there would be a turquoise or a white crackle or the glaze, whichever one we put on. But like last weekend, one that we had was a blue glaze that I used on another piece of mine. A woman put on hers, and it turned out maroon.
Wow.
And it was just we were like, I don't know how, you'll never be able to replicate that. So, but yeah.
Well, that's kind of the fun of it, and the mystery is like you throw it in there and you never know what you're going to get. Yes. But what is the name of this piece?
Sacred Blue Flame.
Okay. And we're going to quickly move on to this little piece right here. And what's its name?
It's called Wolosi, Swallowed by the Moon. Swallowed the Moon, that's the frog.
Oh, okay, all right. Swag Follow the Moon, and so I love that glaze, love that color, and so, man, I'm so glad you joined us. Now, where's Jalen going to go race at this weekend?
We'll be at Arrowhead Speedway at Siloam Springs, Arkansas tonight.
So you're going to bust it out of here and go cheer on your son.
I'm getting ready to head that way, yes.
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing this artwork with you. Appreciate it. Robert, back to you.
Hello, Greg. Thanks so much. Now, we have another artist here. Could you tell us your name and where you're from?
I am Kathy Abber Cromby. I am from Jay, Oklahoma.
Oh. And what type of art do you do?
I am a Cherokee National Treasure for Cherokee loom weaving.
Oh, really? Could you give us a little bit of history about the importance of Cherokee loom weaving?
I will, and I want to tell you a little bit about the looms, what makes our weaving different. Our looms were made at Sequoia Orphan Training School in 1938. There were between 40 and 50 looms made and put in different weaving halls. My granny, where she wove, was in Piney outside of Jay at Oak Hill. And of those looms, currently we know where about 7 of those looms are.
Really?
So we could buy nice, modern, sleek looms that would be, we could sit down and weave real easy. But we would be Cherokee weavers, but when we weave on these looms, they almost leave a signature. You've got the history behind them, and there's not room any left. And just taking care of the looms is almost an art in itself. So the other weavers that have the other looms, their families are doing a great job preserving them and keeping them going.
And these looms are large or small?
They're huge. They're 6 foot by 6 foot by 6 foot. They're solid oak and cast iron. It takes 4 men to lift one, or as my boys say, my 3 boys, it takes 3 of them, but other than them, it takes 4 men. So when my grandkids started weaving, I learned on these when I was 8 years old. That's the only looms we had. And my grandkids weave now, and they have table looms, and there's nothing wrong with using table looms, but they went right to the big looms, like we did. And it's just, to me, that's the history behind our weaving. That's what makes our weaving different, from just any other.
I see you have a piece sitting here on your lap. Did you happen to put it on one of those looms and weave it? Or
I did.
Oh, really?
I did. My looms will make blanket-sized looms. I've got 2 looms, and this is called Bison Sunset, and it's a full-size blanket. And that came from this magenta yarn. When I found this, I thought it looks like the Oklahoma sunsets, that really hot pink. And as soon as I found it, I knew I had to weave this chocolate bison with it. It's like, that's got to go.
Oh, wonderful. And the bison you just chose for the animal itself, or?
No. When Oak Hill started in 1938, they used Navajo wool the first year. Mm-hmm. Then they went to commercial wool. Then about the 60s, they went to acrylics. So when I came along and started weaving in 1970, all I knew was acrylics because that's all we had. And so that's what I was weaving. And when I inherited the looms from my granny, I built a weaving hall in Missouri on my ranch where I lived in. I found a little box with her papers, and there was a letter from Bill Ames. He was a buyer from BIA. And it says, Mrs. Abercrombie, we understand that you still want to use wool and not acrylic, but no one will pay $38 for a wool blanket. So I found that. So I went back to wool to honor my granny's orneriness and her stubbornness.
Yes.
And so that's what I've carried on. But then with each generation, we add something. And I've been adding fur to mine. So I cut up sheep skins, sheep hides, and add that. Now that Cherokee Nation has a bison herd, I thought that would be cool. So I've started weaving with bison and bison yarn, and then I'll take the bison, the long mane, and sew it on.
So this is actually from a bison.
This is
that's in
actually
there.
bison yarn. I buy my wool from a lady that processes it all herself in Montana, but it is so soft. It's a lot softer than sheep
is
wool.
soft.
It has a loft. Yeah, it's really nice.
That's wonderful. The pattern itself, is there?
The pattern is called a diamond weave, and in our Cherokee designs, diamonds are very common. But this was something that my granny was known for, was weaving the diamond weave, and that was also her ranch brand, was a diamond.
Oh.
So I've carried that forward. And this line right here, this is called a break and thread. So I noticed that Granny's blankets, everybody used a white break and thread, and they kind of had the same pattern, but Granny used a lime green. And I asked her one time why she did that, and she said it's like when you have a fancy dinner and you take a bite of lime sherbet to cleanse your palate. Where Granny ever had a fancy dinner, I don't know. But I realized without even doing it that I had been adding a turquoise stripe. So I guess I carried it forward without even knowing it. So now that I do realize that so now everything, that's kind of my signature. It usually has a turquoise thread.
That's really interesting. I'm Cherokee, Navajo, and Apache, and my grandma would do looms and weaving, and they would always put something like an off color that would lead outside, and they said it was kind of like her spirit would go inside the blanket itself and then have a way to come back out.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I made a shawl recently, and I made a mistake. I had a float in it, and it made almost like a wildflower. Well, Granny taught us you take those mistakes out and fixed it, but I had posted it on Facebook. And by the time I had fixed it, I went back and looked, and everybody was saying, leave it, Well, then I had to figure out how to do it again. So now I'm trying to remember to make that little secret wildflower and not tell where it's at, and let whoever purchases it find the wildflower hidden in it.
That's wonderful.
So that'll be my little mark, yeah.
So is there like a little wildflower in here?
Nope, I'd already made this one.
This has already
Nope,
been
I'd already
done.
made this one.
Okay, all right. Before we wrap up, is there any way you would like to inspire anybody else? Some young person might be watching this, might be interested in loom weaving. What would you say to that person?
I would say talk to your elders, whatever art that you're doing, and find out the importance of carrying it forward. I'm the third generation. My boys are the only documented fourth generation weavers. Now I have my grandkids weaving. They're the fifth generation, and this is their first art show. They'll be here in a little bit. They've got a 2.5-hour drive, so they're not here yet. Talk to your elders and find out why. We see sometimes when people, they study and they'll start copying something, but maybe it's not correct. So if you do your research, speak with an elder and ask if you're bringing the right thing forward.
Right.
And then just go for it and put your mark on it.
Well, that's wonderful. It's a beautiful piece. Thank you so much
Whatever.
for sharing your artwork and your time with us.
Whatever.
All right. We're going to turn it back over to Mr. Greg Bilby. Thank you.
All righty, thank you so much, Robert. As we wrap up our segment, just want to cruise through and let people see all the interesting stuff, pieces that we have with our textiles and our prints and things like that. I wanted to pop by this one. I thought it was pretty cool. The Booger Dancer. I thought it was a really neat inspiration. Of course, it's next to our pottery. Just a lot of stuff we can look at, a lot of amazing pieces. Just want to scan through the crowd and got wood carvings. We got pottery. We got basket. Oh, our our children's area over here, and my poor cameraman, he's going to kill me for this, but I love how these pieces are so abstract and something simple as that. We got this a painted plate inside a shadow box. I love it. Your kids can get involved. They can start entering their art and inspire them, give them something to do, give them a creative outlet, and that's what I love. It doesn't have to, people want to try to be so professional, but you do your thing. You do your thing. And so we're going to do a quick swing by here. And so what is your name?
My name's Elizabeth Reef.
And so you did this little piece right here.
Yes. What this is it's about the Gadoogie. And right here's the grand entry. And it's Gadoogie because as we go in, this is the wooden bench. And as we go in, we have the different colors of the powwow circle. And we're working together around the drum, which is the individual, or it also becomes the sacred holy works. This is a sacred place. place with the powwows. Now, for me, we have to work together, especially with my title. I am National 2023-2024 National Miss Spirit of Celebrations USA. And whenever I sat down and I was like, okay, what's going to put us together, especially with our titles called Building Community, Strengthening Our Sovereignty, I said, okay, this is what I am. Great Creator, what do you want me to do? And this picture came to my mind, and that's the reason why we did this.
Well, that is a very interesting piece. I'm so inspiring. That is so cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for doing that. Like I said, all beautiful pieces. Someone said, "Oh, this looks like an Escher," and so I'm trying to find our other artist over here. She did this beautiful piece in the corner. I've fallen in love with it, and I've been trying to sell it because it's for sale. And your name, ma'am?
Jennifer Thiessen.
And this is beautiful. And of course, I guess it was on an art show in Veneta.
Yes, that was at the very first Cherokee Nation ribbon skirt show. That's Shauna Branchcombe in the outfit. She modeled for me. She looks great.
She looks amazing. Can't go wrong with Indian women, the cheekbones and the skin color, especially with the way this dress looks. And so, okay, tell you what, I'm going to let you grab the mic. Or go ahead, you spin it. Yeah, backless top. And what inspired you for the backless top?
I have a back tattoo that's from top to bottom, and so
You wanted to show it off.
I feel like we can be sexy and have our culture too.
There you go. And the hidden pocket.
I do. I have a left hidden pocket on the seam because you need to have pockets, but then I also have this cute external pocket. Put your cell phone in or whatever you want to do. So.
Now the hummingbird dress sold, and this one's still available.
Yes. And the feathers and the color on this one, I just love. And be sure, support Native artists. I've got my Not Today Colonizer shirt on. This is Mackenzie Laufer. She is Redbird Rendition. She's a Muskogee Creek citizen and does a great job. Also does the fashion shows like I do. So
she's just outside in the hall.
She's outside in the hall and has a vendor table set up. So go see her too.
And you also bought a local artist yourself, supporting local arts.
I love supporting local art. I don't even care if you support mine or not, but buy local artists. You can hashtag support Native artists all you want on Facebook. If you're not actually buying their stuff and supporting them and showing up for them, the hashtag doesn't mean anything.
Oh, thank you so much. Beautiful dress. I guess you'll be coming back next year?
Yes.
Of course. Of course. Like I said, so many beautiful pieces to see, so many amazing things, local artists producing stuff by hand, a lot of things to buy. And like she said, we're going to support our local artists. We're going to do what we can. And so 18th Annual Cherokee National Holiday Art Show, come out and see us. We're open until, I'm trying to think, 8 o'clock today, and then 8 to 5 tomorrow, and then Sunday 10 to 3. We'd love to have you out here so we can show off some of our pieces, take some home. And Robert, are you about ready for me, or do I need to? Okay, all right, good deal. Well, like I said, folks, hope to come out and see us, and hope to see you later. So, Kohia, see you later.